5 years ago, four of us went camping in upstate New York. It was me, Jake, Chris, and Tyler. We camped together before, so nothing felt unusual. We spent the day fishing, hiking, and sitting around the fire telling stories. Around midnight, Jake suddenly looked toward the woods. "Did you guys see that?" he asked. "See what?" Tyler laughed. "There was someone standing between those trees." We all looked. Nothing was there. We joked that he was seeing things and eventually went to bed. Sometime during the night, I woke up. I glanced outside my tent and saw Jake sitting alone by the lake. He was staring at the water. I almost called out to him, but I was tired and went back to sleep. The next morning, Jake was gone. His tent was open. His backpack, wallet, phone, and car keys were still inside. Even stranger, his hiking boots were still there. Search teams arrived that afternoon. A volunteer found footprints leading away from camp. They belonged to Jake. Only Jake. There were no other tracks nearby, no signs of a struggle, nothing. The footprints continued for almost a mile through muddy ground. Then they suddenly stopped. Not faded. Stopped. The searchers couldn't explain it. It was as if Jake had taken one step and vanished. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into years. No body was ever found. 3 years later, Chris called me. He had found an old photo from that trip. It showed all four of us sitting around the campfire. At first, everything looked normal. Then I noticed someone standing in the background. A dark figure between two trees, watching us. Chris swore nobody else had been there. I remember Jake saying someone was watching us the night before he disappeared. Suddenly, it wasn't funny anymore. I showed the photo to a retired investigator who had worked the case. The moment he saw it, his face changed. He told me he'd seen that same figure before. Another camper had disappeared from the same forest years earlier. A photo taken the night before their disappearance showed a similar dark figure standing among the trees. When I asked to see the other photo, he refused. A month later, I tried contacting him again. The police department told me they had no record of him ever working Jake's case. I still had his business card. I knew we'd met, but according to them, he didn't exist. Last year, I returned to the campsite. Near the lake, I found a rusted metal tag wedged between two rocks. It belonged to Jake. On the back were 3 words scratched into the metal. It wasn't alone. My hands started shaking. Then I noticed something else. A date. The date had been scratched underneath the message. It was dated 2 years after Jake disappeared. I've never gone back to that forest, and I still don't know who wrote it.